Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central.
From the 2023 Houston Auto Show, it is the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Mr. Mars reviews the GMC Sierra 1500. We'll have the events calendar and the stories making automotive news headlines. And maybe, just maybe, a special guest or two.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin and Chief Engineer David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. And joining us in our remote studio here is the famous and ever popular
and easy to spot in a crowd.
Buzz Smith.
He's easy to spot in a crowd.
EV.
Oh,
So if you want to know anything about EVs, he's your guy.
He is.
And I have given him so much grief. You know, I'm surprised that you even talked to me.
Oh, I love you, man.
We are too.
You are so much fun.
Yeah.
I rarely get a chance to embarrass a man on national radio, this often, but just to be able to take the crap that you come up with and go, oh, no, that's not true. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Well, how are those Joe Biden Chargers on the highway?
They're rolling out fine. They are affected by the supply chain issues just like everything else, but they're getting out there. I mean, they're putting them in all the time. I'm seeing them go in. So that's actually coming to happen. I got something cool happen to me last night. This is the first time I've flown down for the show, and so I needed to get an Uber from Hobby to the hotel. And, of course, on Uber, you can select an electric vehicle. And so I got a ride in a Model Y for the first time, and the driver and I talked about EVs the whole way, but he owned his own auto mechanic shop for 10 years. And now, I don't know what he does for his day job, but at night, he's driving around in this Uber and Model Y, and he's just loving life.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think the range on that's like 300 if you take it easy.
Yeah, if you take it easy, sure.
But Ubering between Hobby Airport and I assume a hotel somewhere around in here, that would zip out right out the entire
Suck the juice out of it pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Actually, you'd be surprised. In stop-and-go traffic, which is what a lot of the Uber drivers are doing, you get much higher than the normal EPA rating. Gasoline cars, stop-and-go, you get worse mileage. Stop-and-go for EVs is even better. So like the Buffalo ice storm, we had people that suffocated from carbon monoxide poisoning in gasoline-powered cars. We had people in Teslas that stayed at 70 degrees, sitting there having a good time, and people say, well, how long would that last? So somebody took their Tesla out and left it in snow like that, and I think it was 3 days that you could sit in that car at 70 degrees. Surely rescue is going to get to you in 3 days.
You hope.
Yeah, you hope.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the uptick in sales in EVs. It's hard for me to say that, but
it's been hard, but closing all those deals, I've really worked at it, and it's not my responsibility. I'm just one voice in the crowd, but it's really the owners of these EVs. What we've seen, there are countries obviously that are ahead of us in EV adoption, and the tipping point is at 5% of sales. When they hit 5% of sales, suddenly that curve takes off, and we are already seeing
word of mouth.
It's because you now have a friend, probably. Think 5%, that's 1 in 20 of your friends may have an EV. And I briefly touched on this the last time y'all had me on, but I remember all the numbers now, so this is real. In the United States, if you know nothing about EVs, 40% of us say, I'm never going to have one of those. If you see one in your neighborhood, it's not parked in your neighborhood, you just see one in your neighborhood, right, that drops to 22%. So it dropped by almost half. If you have a friend that gets one, it drops to 17%. If you ride in one, it drops to 10%. If you drive one just 3 times, it drops to 4% that say, I'll never have one. And there are some people, if you're doing heavy-duty hauling, 200 miles a day, don't get an EV. It's not the right car for you. But for the vast majority of us, it works. But there's so much FUD out there, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, by people who have been convinced that EVs are political, and they're not. If you're a liberal tree hugger like me, then yeah, I want to save the earth, so that's part of my motivation. But the reason I bought my car was the acceleration. If it had been a dog, I would have never gotten an electric car. I needed performance. And so no matter who you're selling to, conservative or liberal, if you're talking to somebody who believes in conservative values, and we used to have really normal conservative people and really normal liberals. I don't know what happened to both sides, but we got weird all of a sudden.
COVID.
Yeah, that could be. It probably was. But if you're on the conservative side, you care about things like international competition with China, national security, energy security, grid stability. These are things that EVs are going to bring to our country. You want jobs to come back. Kia was never going to build a plant here, but now that they can't get the EV income tax credit, guess what? Kia and Hyundai are going to build plants here. We have all these manufacturers. Our jobs went overseas, and now, because of that law, they're coming back, and our fellow citizens are going to get jobs from this
we
stuff.
heard a rumor that Tesla's going to build some sort of facility out there in Brookshire. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
West of
I did
Houston,
see something about, no, that was in Nevada. They're vastly increasing their gigafactory out in Nevada. I'm not sure what it's going to be doing, but they're still growing by leaps and bounds, even though sales are kind of slowing down for them.
Well, I don't know about sales slowing down. Didn't he make record profits in the fourth quarter of last year?
Profits and sales aren't necessarily the same thing, but there has definitely been some impact for the weirdness he's been doing.
Now, Buzz, don't you think the EV craze could have been handled a little differently rather than saying, okay, you gas people, you're out, and we're putting electric in? Shouldn't there have been a little bit of a
buffer?
Exactly. A little.
Actually, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about today, because you're exactly right.
There should have been a little bit easier transition.
Yes,
in my
and
opinion.
what we should never have seen happen is what Gavin Newsom did out in California.
Force it.
You can't buy a gasoline-powered vehicle starting in, I think it's 2035.
Well, then he should give his up first. Get his little limo and park it.
But what are you going to do as a person when somebody says you can't have this?
Well,
you're
and
going to dig your heels in.
That's right.
And that's why I'm asking the question. It should have been handled much differently.
Yeah, and the problem, though, is that there has been a lot of just outright lying. And so when I got my first Volt back in 2012, Rush Limbaugh told everybody you could only drive 40 miles, you had to stop and recharge overnight, that they would burst into flames for no reason at all. That's what was different. There were people that were fixated on killing electric vehicles for some reason. I don't think Rush owned a lot of oil stocks, but what did happen was Obama did something really stupid. He went and they rolled a Volt off the assembly line, and he sat in it, and they took his picture. Well, holy cow, what's going to happen next?
Yeah,
you know?
it's a big media rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just, what happened to us as Americans? I mean, I've got really good friends. I've got a friend down the street that was Special Forces. He had a Trump flag flying on a 30-foot flagpole in his front yard. And he and I still can have decent conversations, and we're friends, but we're losing that here for some reason. That's affected EVs.
And I think that goes to a much broader discussion than what we want to get into here. But
and you said you had to have 20 friends. I don't think any of us have 20 friends. So that's
well, I know you guys don't, but I'm talking about the rest of us.
Yeah. The normal people.
Okay, so I want to talk about something called the grid. And let's face it, the Texas grid is not what we all think it should be, because it failed last year, as you well know, during our ice storm. And
struggled during last summer when we had record heat.
Right. So is anything being done to address that continuing issue? They're bragging now, well, we made it through a couple of cold days and we didn't have to have any brownouts. Well, if it's teetering on the edge all the time, as somebody that's going to have a EV that's not going to have electricity at the house to charge it, that's an issue for me.
Yes, it is. And back to what we've talked about before, if there's no electricity, that gas pump doesn't work at the station either. The credit card machines don't work at the station either, so you can't buy gas.
Well, that's true, but on a full tank of gas in my Corvette that gets 25 to 30 miles per gallon, I can go for a whole week at least getting back and forth to work with that.
And every modern EV is the same way. The Kia EV6, 315 miles of range on one of the models. And so we can't say that recharging a car is like refueling a car. It's a different environment.
But
most of the times you do it at home.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. But let's talk about
the grid.
The grid.
You brought that up. Let's
Yes.
talk about that. I have had the fortune, because of my membership, board membership with TechCetera, to sit in meetings where utilities are talking about EV adoption. And one of the things that I heard in a meeting is we're ready today with our existing grid, 30 million cars. That's about 30% of the entire U.S. fleet. Now, that's the way the grid exists today.
In the entire United States.
That's the entire United States.
Okay. Not
and
Texas.
Texas has one of the better grids, believe it or not. But the problem is we have all, as Texans, really benefited from cheap electricity here from them taking the regulations off. Well, those regulations included winterizing the plants. So when the ice happened, actually the renewable energy, wind and solar, performed better than natural gas because in northern states, they get all the water out of that natural gas, and it can't freeze in the pipelines. But in Texas, it was freezing in the pipelines, which shut the plants down, which caused the power to go down. Now, some of the renewable energy did fail, too. I'm not going to try to whitewash anything. But the fact of the matter is, renewable performed better, and it was that deregulation that saved us all so much money. Well, part of that savings, we didn't maintain the plants properly. Hopefully the government is putting some teeth. They did back then, 10 years ago, there was a freeze, and the government did put regulations in forcing companies to maintain the plants better, but they didn't enforce them. So hopefully now we're putting some enforcement behind it. But when you get to EVs, grids in the summertime are going to fail at the hottest part of the day. And every EV I've seen, you can go in and tell it, I don't want you to charge as soon as I plug you in. In fact, the Chevys are really cool. They know when they're home. And so you can set up your default charging for home. And so you could say, start charging at 1 in the morning. Well, the grid's fine at 1 in the morning in the summertime in Texas. So we could probably handle 100 million of
I have to tell you that I had an EV for a week.
Buzz, you got to go back and listen to the podcast. He loved it.
I actually loved it.
Okay. Have y'all seen, I can't think of the movie, but we got to check for pods. And don't any of y'all, don't go to sleep, anybody. We've been around him.
Don't feed them after midnight either.
But my electricity, now, granted, I didn't have any kind of a charger other than the plug on the porch that I plugged in, 110.
Yeah.
And it cost me somewhere between $25 and $50 extra for the week that I had it. Because what I did was, what?
You just spent $25 to $50 on gasoline.
No, I don't.
How did you determine it was just that unit that was costing you the extra money? That seems like way off.
It was the highest electric bill I'd ever had.
That's a coincidence, not necessarily cause.
And you're right, but it certainly contributed to it.
Yeah.
And I managed to not get it under 60% of a charge because I'd get to work, plug it in.
Yeah.
But with 110 volts, nothing special.
Yeah.
I'd go home, plug it in 110 volts.
Yeah.
If it stayed plugged in for 36 hours, it'd go up to 100%. It was a different way for me.
It's a different way for everybody to begin out.
It was and I realized that I'm hampered with the 110 volt thing.
To Don's point, with the electricity going up, all the lithium that they have to mine for these batteries, that's really not too green either. I mean, there's places that we've interviewed. Mike, you've interviewed a gentleman in Spain that was part of a cobalt
he was mining manufacturing.
Manufacturing. So that's actually the first step to get where we're at now, but it's really kind of dirty.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nothing that man does is clean. It's a gray scale, and EVs are much further along we've never heard of the oil industry do anything that was damaging the planet. I mean, there were Deepwater Horizon didn't destroy the shrimping industry in the Gulf of Mexico
fake news.
Over a vast. But the bottom line is, you know what? And I see this argument all the time. Oh, the poor children in the Congo. Well, you know what? As part of TechCetra, I've also got to sit in a meeting where they had a mining executive, and this was really an eye-opener for me. We've been thinking that the United States doesn't have a lot of this stuff that we need. We actually do. We have tons of lithium here, but we didn't mine for it here because the United States our environmental regulations for mining are so strict that the mining companies go, heck, I'm going to go over to China.
Well, because it's so much easier and cheaper.
Yeah, and it pollutes those people's lives.
And I don't have the regulations over there. I do here.
Exactly.
Michigan last year, they were trying to put a new mine up in Michigan, and they said, in Michigan, you're not mining that stuff up here.
Yeah, well, that's going to change. I mean, we already are opening large lithium mines here in the United States. We found enough at the Salton Sea out in California for literally hundreds of thousands of EVs.
And sometimes when you're flying back and forth to California, you fly over one of those, and you see this humongous hole in the ground.
Not in a lithium mine, you don't. most of that lithium is the lightest metal that exists, and so they skim it off of ponds. You're not digging that. There's a great meme on Facebook that comes out. I see it about every 3 months. It shows this giant strip mine.
Right.
And they say, hey, you EV guys, how green do you feel now? This is where the lithium comes from. It's a copper mine. It's the world's largest copper mine, I think, in Argentina. I found it on the web.
But there's mines like that in Arizona. Same thing, though. I mean, it's copper, but, I mean, that's just how they do it.
You know, King Tut
And
came
are we not
from
gonna,
Arizona.
Are we not going to have wires in our house because, oh, God, we've got a mine for copper? We are going to cause some damage. That's what humans do. Let's just minimize it. That's what EVs are about. Not eliminating. Now, one other thing, and we touched on this a minute ago, and I definitely want to talk about this. Y'all probably saw that a bill is up in Wyoming to outlaw the sale of electric vehicles. I think starting in 2035.
What is that?
Idiocy.
Explain that to me. Why?
Well, it's the same thing that politicians always do. Look, I'm doing something good for our team. That law has zero chance of passing. California passed that, or didn't pass the law. The governor just said no more cars. And as I said the last time I was on your show, guess what, people? The government doesn't get to make that decision for us, even if they think they do. Because in 2035, if Californians have decided, you know what, EVs suck and I don't want one, they're going to vote those guys out of office. They're going to vote somebody in that promises to repeal that rule.
Sooner than between them.
Well, probably.
But the process
I don't
is
think
there.
they're smart enough to do that.
Oh, let's not be mean.
They
Once
had
it
a
gets
chance to recall him, and they didn't.
Yeah, but once it gets directly into their pocketbook, it starts affecting their everyday living to where now they can't get to the grocery store to get groceries that can't get there because they're brought in by a diesel truck that they're trying to eliminate. I mean, there comes a limit to where that impact will be strong enough, people will start reacting.
Yeah, and we need the politicians to get out of the way. This is something the market is going to settle.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
If you believe in free market economics, let's just do this.
Well, that's it. If it was consumer-driven, just think how much faster things would go because that's what people want. Instead of the politicians trying to force it and, like you said, creating this resistance that shouldn't be there.
No pun intended.
Right, but I mean, you know, I'm not a big EV fan because I like the hot rod, I like the noise, I like the sound, but I also know that my wife's driving patterns, an EV would work wonderful for her except for one exception, and a hybrid would fix all her problems. But, you know,
Well, not
I
all
gotta
the
convince
problems.
her.
No, it
wouldn't
wouldn't
fix
be
all of
the
her
only thing that
problems.
fix all
Yeah.
the problems and get rid of you. Right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
beside the point. It fixed all her vehicle problems. Let me
So Buzz is handling us like a WWE, but it would be a WWEV is the way he's handling it. No. And where are you at in the show here, Buzz?
I'm actually working the Evolve Houston booth. Evolve is the sponsor of the show this year.
right.
Yeah.
And one thing, we need to get this out to everybody. They have 11 EVs out front that you can come test drive. And I touched on this last time. I'm going to give you, I gave you the numbers, how the resistance, no pun intended, drops to EVs once you actually have experience. You can get that experience today. And two of the vehicles we have are F-150 pickups. I mean, in Texas, that's a huge deal. Come drive that truck. But if you're not a pickup person, we've got the Polestar 2 out there. We've got the Hyundai.
Do you have the EV6 out there?
No, unfortunately, I would go drive it if they had it out there. That's probably my favorite.
I
EV
want to
right now.
ask you one thing before we say goodbye, and that is the fact that I hope that you have the Buzz Smith EV website that kills everybody else when it comes to EVs, and that you update it every day and you write about something different about it every day.
I wish I could, but
What?
the writing I do is on LinkedIn and Facebook because nobody looks at websites anymore. They look at Facebook.
Well, you
and
are
LinkedIn.
just
They
a
look for
party
you.
killer.
Yeah,
you know
really.
that? You know, I'm going to invite you to the next party. Here's Buzz. Okay, don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm begging you.
But I do put.
Have to
I've got a
change your
YouTube
name.
channel where I try to put content out there as much as I can. But I'm a one-man operation. I mean, there's only so much this guy can do.
I get asked all the time because they know we do the show, and I get asked, "Well, the EV is this, and the EV is." Well, have you listened to the show? Have you listened to the episodes we've had with Buzz? No. Well, then you don't know. You're going to be in the dark.
Oh, by the way, I actually link to every one of your shows that I'm a guest on and put a post on my website.
So in
that
other words, what you're
starts-
saying is that you want to be a guest on our show every week or do a segment on our show.
That would be awesome.
Would you do
be
that?
awesome.
We need to
Sure.
talk.
Okay, so I'm going to
But only if you continue to be mean about EVs. I love this banter.
Yeah. So what we need to do is that we just need to go ahead and make the commitment right now, and right now.
He sounds
and-
like a like a preacher.
Oh,
I want to get you to come
let's
down.
not go there.
Well, you got to remember, Don's been married 3 times, so he's into commitments.
Yeah, that's it. And instant incineration.
Well, one of the great things about being on your show is that the commute is awesome. I get up in my bedroom, walk into my study. I'm on a Zoom session with you guys,
And doesn't even have to recharge his car.
So why don't we start on the In Wheel Time show when you're available to do it? We start a weekly 4-minute feature on EVs featuring Buzz Smith.
The only caveat to that would be EV adoption in the United States is so important to me. I still have to be able to do other projects and spread the news. As long as we can agree to that, I'm fine.
No problem.
Yeah. By the way, I was recently on Good Morning Texas on the ABC affiliate, television affiliate up in Dallas, and she just loved the EVangelist. She couldn't believe that I came up with that name. She goes, that's just brilliant.
Well, it is.
What about
But
sending?
I know that you didn't come up with that. Somebody, your PR firm did.
Send a recording to Mike. Send a 4-minute recording to Mike, and he'll post it on the show. We'll do it on the show.
I like doing the video.
Yeah, we can do something.
We'll talk,
we
we'll
need
talk
to
about
work
the
it out
logistics
after
of
this.
it, but I'm saying that we need to have a weekly feature. You decide what you're going to talk about, and we'll just go for it.
I would love the opportunity to spread the news with you guys. They were so much fun.
Something
It's
born here at the automotive show.
Absolutely. We love you. You know that. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Right back at you, bud.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Buzz.
We'll come see you, Buzz.
All right.
Sign the mug. You got to sign that mug.
Sign the mug.
Sign the mug.
Okay, time now for the events calendar. And Conrad's been chomping at the bit to get this on.
So this afternoon is the cruise to Hurricane Titus meet.
Well, wait just a minute. It's probably a hurricane out there now, isn't it? It's raining all day.
It's at 7420 Texas 105 in Beaumont, Texas. There's no entry fee. And then also tonight, starting at 5 p.m., is the Brookshire Brothers Cruise in Montgomery, Texas. The 6 p.m. tonight is the Wharton Cruise Night at Domino's Pizza.
All right.
7 a.m. tomorrow morning is the Import Face-Off at Houston Raceway Park in Baytown. And then also tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. is the Trucks and Coffee Meet at George Bush Park off of Westheimer. Classic truck only cruise-in, no entry fee. Don't forget, April 15th is Tailpipes and Tacos for God's Garage. Again, on January 29th is Rides and Coffee at the Detail Garage off of Mason Road in Katy. Freddie's Car and Truck Show Sunday night in League City. And Sunday at 11 a.m. is the Sunday Test and Tune at Houston Motorsports Park off of Lake Houston Parkway. And finally, the Park and Chill off of Garth Road in Baytown is a Sunday night at 8 p.m.
I like that, the Park and Chill. And by the way, speaking of Park and Chill, Bobby Sparkman, Hot Rod Tour of Texas, announced this week that the drive-in movie theater stop is going to feature none other than Lawrence of Arabia. He went to fight the Turkish. He's an English kind of guy. Me.
So what I want to know,
it's going to be the Hollywood Knights.
That's right. And so the trick's going to be, we want to see if Don gets up and acts out all of the parts.
We talked about that last night at dinner.
And dresses in drag to do it.
No, that's a different one. That
you
you're
need
talking
leather
about
jackets and things.
Kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's the one they dress in drag.
Concept, but he just get up there in front of the screen.
Yeah, we've already warned him.
No, get up in front, and I'll be the shadow on the screen.
Yeah.
Your worst nightmare come true.
Exactly.
The only thing is that Leslie will be with me, and I don't want to embarrass her. Myself, I don't care.
Well, I would think by that time she'll be over being embarrassed by you.
It's like when you have a.
That's right.
It's like when you have
I'll keep her liquored up.
Exactly.
a 2-year-old with a leash coming through here. That's tied to her wrist. That's what's going to do with him.
Or get him a dog collar with batteries, not like the regular
shocker.
he wears,
Shock
but
collar.
the shock
Shocker.
collar.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Time now for this hour's car review. Mr. Mars has the GMC Sierra 1500.
Yes, the 2023 GMC Sierra 1500 AT4X. Now, this is another off-road offering that's coming out of the house of GM, and it comes in this 8 different trim levels. If you get into the Sierra, you can get the Pro, the SLE, the Elevation, the SLT, the AT4, the AT4X, and the Denali, and the Denali Ultimate. So the AT4X that we had was kind of in the middle of all that mix as far as the trim levels go. This is a full-size pickup. It's geared up for off-road, and seats 5 passenger. We had that cayenne red paint on it, and that's probably the best-looking paint I have seen on any GM vehicle except for maybe a couple of the Corvettes. It was really nice, particularly out in the sunshine. So, of course, you're going to find up front, you're going to find the HED headlights, and it had tail lights, DLR, the fog lights, the cargo lights, all kinds of HED lighting on this thing, set up with an off-road suspension that includes a 2-inch lift, and you got skid plates under the transfer cases and the transmission and the gas tank. Got a power sunroof on this thing, so that if you're out there and about and you you want some sunshine, let the sunshine in, come on in. It was interesting, this vehicle also has a carbon fiber bed, and it has the 6-way function tailgate, the one that Chevrolet does on the TV that kind of folds down. But the other thing it had was the multi-pro kicker stereo system that fits on that tailgate. So when you fold it down that first time and you set it down like a step, that stereo mounts right in there so that you've got a kicker system on the outside of your vehicle. Got plenty of sound going on out there. And you go into the inside of it, of course, nice luxury type stuff like leather seating. The front seats have massage, both passenger and driver. Heated, ventilated. The second row, the outboard seating positions were also heated. It's a fold-up bench to give you some give you plenty of room for cargo. It's got lots of screen in it, 13.4 touch screen. Now that's up in the front where you're going to find all your Apple, your Android, all your convenience controls are all going to be right there. You got a wireless technology to keep everything charged. 12.3-inch digital driver's display. So you got this right in front of the driver where you're going to find all your controls, your tax, your speedometers, everything. And then on top of that, it had a 15-inch heads-up display that you could pull up, and almost everything that was in that driver's display is now up there on the heads-up display. I thought it was really cool, in color, really nice setup. And, of course, on the inside, we had a 12-speaker audio Bose premium system. So there's lots of technology in this vehicle, lots of it to sound good. And to make all this stuff get down the road, we had a 6.2-liter V8 Ecotec engine up under the hood, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, backed by a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, set up like this vehicle can actually tow 13,000 pounds when properly equipped and haul up to 1,820 pounds in a half-ton truck. Never had that math work out for me, but EPA says you should be looking for 15 miles per gallon in the city, 17 out on the highway, and combined for 15. I drove this vehicle 459.4 miles in a week, and I got 15.5 miles per gallon, so I was thrilled with that for a vehicle that weighs 7,100 pounds. So it's got plenty of power for going off-road, and the gearing and the setup for that, as well as out on the highway. It is a firm ride, but you feel like you're in control. It's not going to bounce you all over the place. It's not going to rock your world to death, but you do feel firm and you're in control of it. Now, the base model price for a Sierra is $42,800. The base trim price for the AT4X is $77,500. As tested price is $81,010. I got distracted. $81,010.
I can't imagine why.
Now, if you're looking for something to compare it to, you might see a Ford F-150, $41,530 starting out, a Toyota Tundra, $39,915, or Ram 1500 for $40,110. So lots of stuff to pick out from when you get out there into that full-size pickup world, and this was a pretty nice one, I have to say.
Very cool.
No doubt. Hey, the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcasts at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets alive. The In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break.
Some things just belong together. Chips and queso. beer and barbecue, and the auto show and boat show. January 25th to 29th at NRG Center. One ticket, two great shows. Climb Jeep Mountain, board your dream boat, get the kids hooked on fishing at the trout pond, and join Evolve on an EV test drive, including the Ford Lightning. See all the latest models at the Houston Automotive Show, January 25th to 29th. Beat the line and buy online at automotiveshow.com.
Tailpipes and Tacos, Houston's premier car cruise-in returns Saturday, April 15th to the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, 8 to 11 a.m. Bring your hot rod, classic, resto mod, or any other vehicle you'd like to show and compete for one of 3 highly coveted chili pepper trophies. This April 15th kickoff event is one you'll want to put on your calendar because 100% of the money you donate for the free tacos will be given to God's Garage. You heard right, free tacos. Whatever you decide to give, all of it will be given to God's Garage and matched by Lupi Tortilla. God's Garage gifts vehicles to single mothers, widows, and wives of deployed military in the greater Houston area. In fact, the Garage will gift a vehicle to a mom in need at this special event. Be sure to attend the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Saturday, April 15th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10. Free breakfast tacos for any donation to God's Garage. It'll make your heart and your belly feel good. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.